If you play United, that comes here with a low block, with playing a lot of long balls, then you know that is going to be difficult, because it's not easy to play through them, and you don't get the chance to win the ball back high up the pitch and then create your chance. But it makes it even harder if you, after 1 or 2 minutes, I think, 1-0 down. And if you would have told me before the game that we were able to play against the low block with the quality players United have, against a team that plays so many long balls, we would be able to create so many chances, I would have said I would take that immediately, and that normally doesn't lead to losing the game of football. But we did, because we missed a lot, and the few chances we've conceded led to 2 goals conceded, were again a set piece. Is partly the reason why we lose this game.
I could see from where I was sat that you weren't happy with some of the officiating for their first goal, for a penalty you might have had during the first half. Did you feel those 2 were big moments and didn't go the way they should have gone?
I think if you lose a game of football, especially after you've lost 4, maybe you can have the emotion in the game, but I should not talk about that at this moment of time. No excuses. We've had more than enough chances to score a goal where we then maybe didn't need that penalty, if it was one, yes or no. I don't want to talk about that. We should just focus on ourselves. If we have so many chances, you need to score more. And if you are 1-1 and the game is completely there for you, and you then have to defend one set piece, defend it better than we did. And this is where we should focus on. And that there is emotion in the game about decisions, yeah, that's, I think, quite normal. Every manager has this. But I should not talk about this after the game.
Is that pattern a concern, getting yourselves back into a game, getting level, and then losing it late on?
Nah, it happens us 3 times in a row. So yeah, we've made many offensive substitutions to turn the game around, and I think, I wouldn't say that worked, but in the end we've created a lot of chances throughout the whole game, but mainly after the substitutions were made. And yeah, then of course you don't have maybe the same structure in defending a set piece as you have when you start the game, because it's every time when someone gets off, there's a lot of work to be done, who does what. But sometimes it's then not about who does what, it's just about making sure you don't concede. But our mindset in that moment of time is maybe only on scoring, because we think we deserve to win the game. And get that in the I don't know if we forget, but it comes across like that we forget this 1 or 2 single moments where we have to defend.
Just tell us about some of the changes you made, because you were really kind of aggressive in terms of trying to affect the game from the touchline. What was your thinking, just trying to kind of overload that low block?
I think before that already we've created enough chances to score a goal. Cody Gakpo twice on the post in the first half, Alexander Isak 1-on-1 to the goalkeeper, and I think if I look it back, I maybe forget 1 or 2 chances. And in the second half, we started off quite well, in my opinion. But yeah, if you have so many good players on the bench, you can better use them, especially if they are offensive. And then you take the risk, because that's, people might say, yeah, you've conceded 1 or 2 extra chances apart from the goal as well. Correct, that's what we did. But that's also what we need to do. If you're 1-0 down, you have to take more risk than when you're 1-0 up. So if I take that into account, that we every time have to fight back and then see the amount of chances we concede, I cannot be too negative about that. But defending in the set piece, if you are 1-1, that happened to us at Palace, that happened to us today, that we have to do much better. But again, a lot of impact from the players that came on. But that's also because of the effort we put in the first half. So we have 60-65% ball possession. The other team has to run a lot of players had to go off from United because they were tired. But yeah, end result, lost 2-1.
Yeah, and it is 4 defeats in a row. How have you ended up as the league's champions in this downward spiral, and how difficult a moment is it for you and the team?
It is a difficult moment because you know how it works in football. If you lose a game of football, if you lose 2, 3 or 4, the main thing is that the players need to keep believing in each other, and what we are doing is good. So if you play a game like this, I think they will be in the dressing room saying, what an amount of chances we had. But you can play a next game, maybe where you don't create as much. And this is always players, if you lose, players come off, thought they didn't have to be substituted, players who thought they had to play longer. These kind of things are quite normal in football. But what I see at this moment of time at Liverpool is that they're all very involved. If we start them, they do well. If they come in, they do well. If we get chances in the end, I see the players on the bench hoping that we score. Also the ones I took off, frustrated if then Maguire wasn't fractionally offside. So I see everything that is needed to win a game of football. But maybe it's a smart thing that we start doing this quite soon.
You took Mo Salah off needing a goal, and he obviously is in a difficult moment. Are we seeing a great player maybe moving into a different phase of his career? I mean, I know it's a difficult question for you to answer, or is it just form? Is it just him trying to blend with new signings? What's happening with him at the moment?
I think after games like this, it's quite normal, usual that people are very focused on individual players. So in the first 5 or 6 games, it was mainly about the signings we did. Now we have to talk about Mo Salah. I think we've had more than enough chances to score a goal, and Mo missed a big one. Some others missed a big chances, and we are not used to this from Mo. But yes, we needed a goal. But yes, we also needed maybe a player that could create something in that end phase, and that's what Jeremy did. He came in, had a great action, say, cross to Cody, and when we would have been 3-0 up, I think Cody would have scored that one, but I cannot guarantee this. But so, like I said, every player has tried everything, but it didn't work out for us.
Thank you, Arne.
You're welcome.
So that's how Arne Slot saw the game. Jamie Carragher obviously was commentating for us. Jamie, I know you missed the beginning of that, but just to sum up, Arne Slot saying that he would have been happy if he knew how many chances Liverpool would create in the match. And actually, Cody Gakpo had a higher XG than Manchester United as a team in that game, hit the post 3 times. They have to finish them better, but also that defensively, of the chances they did give up, they conceded a couple of goals, including one from a set piece, or from a corner that led to the goal. And then he said, we just can't afford to be doing that.
Yeah, I think it was a really good interview, that, because when you lose a game of this magnitude, people get emotional. You know, even pundits, supporters. And it probably is a good time for the manager to be measured. 4 defeats in a row. He's explained the game really well. If Liverpool put the majority of the chances away, they'd probably win the game. But the way the Premier League is style-wise this season, for everybody, set pieces is a big part of the game. Everybody's taken long throws this season. Set pieces galore. We look at Arsenal, the success they've had as well. And Liverpool just can't seem to cope at the moment. So we keep talking about new signings and integrating them in terms of actually the football Liverpool are playing. But the new signs that Liverpool have brought in, has it affected them set piece-wise as well? The fullbacks are quite small. There's no sort of great, physical presence in there. Even if you play Havertz in midfield and McAllister as well, you've got to think set piece-wise as well. Is the team big enough? And maybe this is hurting Liverpool now, not just in terms of actually, playing the football and getting players on the ball, but it looks like they're not coping at all well with set pieces. They can see last minute at Crystal Palace from a long throw as well. Another corner at Crystal Palace. So yeah, they're struggling, I think, with the style of the whole Premier League right now.
You mentioned the fact that it's a time for Arne Slot to be measured after 4 defeats in a row. But if you look at performances across the whole season, you were saying in the first game of the season against Bournemouth that there were worrying signs defensively for Liverpool from open play. Have they gone any way to fixing those? Do they still look as vulnerable in open play as you thought they were on that first day?
Oh, yeah, it hasn't changed. And I think a few weeks ago, I looked about Liverpool maybe going back to having Szoboszlai in the midfield and maybe Havertz coming out the team because he's more of an offensive number 10 than Szoboszlai. But Szoboszlai's played in that position in the last 2 games, away at Chelsea, here against Manchester United today. And Liverpool are still conceding goals and conceding big chances. You think of the chance Fernandes had in that first half as well. Manchester United should be 2-0 up in that situation. So as we said before the game, I don't think it's one glaring problem. There's lots of things. New signings, not up to speed. But some of Liverpool's great players last season are nowhere near the level that they are and, just making sort of errors. And you talk about Konate. He was brilliant today. I thought Konate had a great game. But then Van Dijk's nowhere near himself. I mean, he has a really good game as well. So it's just... it's not quite happening for Liverpool right now. And I think, I've just mentioned on the podcast actually, I think if
Where's that available to download? All your usual podcast
yes,
places.
Exactly. But I think when the champions or a team, if you think of last season, on such a long run undefeated from the Nottingham Forest game, I think maybe to the Fulham game late in the season, almost feel invincible. And then this season, as soon as someone beats them, this run goes on of 4 games. I remember Manchester City last season had that run where you couldn't believe this was Manchester City. You feel a little bit like that with Liverpool. And I go back to a game I played in here 25 years ago or something, where the invincible team at Arsenal, the following season, once they'd lost 1 game, everyone thought, oh, maybe you can beat them. And they actually went on a run of sort of losing 4 or 5 games. So it's just one of those things that the rut that they're in right now, and they just, as the manager said, they've got to get out of it quick. But it's probably, we're not going to see the best of Liverpool, I would say, till the second half of the season.
But that's why I draw you. That's why I think a draw today. I know we praise them for gambling and winning, getting late goals. But on the back of 3 defeats, you're home to United and it's 1-1. Don't shy away from taking a point as well. I think just to stop the rot. I know 3 games for Liverpool was a lot. But there's a bit of arrogance in that, which is nothing wrong with that. When you're champion, you think there's a bit of a swagger. But also smell the game and go, there's danger here. That's why there's nothing wrong with taking a point either. It's not the end of the world.
There's a lot to talk about from this game, and we're going to carry on doing that on Sky Sports Premier League. If you are watching, continuing with the fallout from Liverpool's 2-1 defeat by Manchester United. Jamie, just picking up on what Roy was saying about Liverpool coming back this season, he was saying earlier about coming back as champions and finding it harder. They've always been title challengers. They've always had teams coming in here, maybe sitting back against them. But to Jamie's point, do you think that they can scent blood a bit more this season? They feel that it's possible to get something?
Yeah, and I think a lot of clubs, a lot of teams will look at what Manchester United did today. They never once played out from the back from a goal kick. You see much lesser teams that aren't comfortable on the ball trying to do that, inviting pressure, losing a goal. I think they had a really good game plan. I think and they showed that against Liverpool today. In terms of, trying to maybe, a point isn't the worst result in the world. It wouldn't have been. If you look at what Arsenal did when they got that point against Manchester City, we were all talking about it after that, how they were celebrating, how happy they were. But then they got on a great run after that. They got a Newcastle win, and we all go, yeah, actually, at the time it didn't feel like a good point, but how good does it feel now? So Liverpool have just got to find some rhythm again. And everyone's going to be asking questions about his decisions, the players that are coming. That's inevitable. The next week or so, people are talking about, how's he going to fit Virtue in the team? How's he going to fit Isak, Ekitike into the team? What does he do about the right-back situation? How's the left-back looking? There's going to be lots of question marks, but you just got to be a little bit patient. He's very measured, the manager. He doesn't get too involved, doesn't get too high when they do well, doesn't get too low when they don't. And I think it might need a bit of that for now, because it's going to be a little bit of a struggle. It's going to be a difficult time because they've got some tough games. We were writing it down earlier on. They've got Brentford away, Villa at home, and then the Manchester City away. So they're games that you're looking at thinking they're not going to be easy. They're going to be challenged next week.
Champions League games, Carabao Cup game against Crystal Palace, in amongst all of that.
Well, we talk about set pieces. Jamie's mentioned it, how difficult they are now, and how big. You've got the ultimate test next week at Brentford away. So they're the challenges that they've got to have. So they've got to make sure they deal with them.
And with all the players they brought in, I'm just trying to imagine the manager and the staff at the training ground, they're looking at... They have a lot of options, really. And sometimes that can be a problem. Also, when you've got brilliant options on the bench, you see him chopping and changing, and he is offensive. And I give him a thumbs up for gambling. But again, there's certain games, and you have it, the old sayings in football, if you can't win it, don't lose it. They've got to get back to that mindset of not giving up daft goals like they have done. That's the point he made at the end.
When you sort of won the title, and you're obviously lucky to win it loads of times, did you then, the second, when you have to do it again, is it like is it hard to get yourself going?
Yeah, there's obviously a different challenge, and obviously people look at you, but then you've obviously got a bit of a confidence about you that we've done it and we can hopefully do it again. And you've got that winning culture and that vibe going on. And again, people always thought about the team I was involved in going, you always felt you'd go to the very end. And you always felt if anyone was going to win it, it was United and they'd be gambling. But there was plenty of games where we'd be trying to win again, but also we'd be looking going, everyone thinks we're going to go for it here, but we'll take a draw. There's certain games, I think you always have to smell it in the air. I think Liverpool should have smelled that today. And I know it's hard when you're at home and the fans are pushing you, it's on the television, everyone's building the game up. But when it's 1-1 and you've lost 3 in a row, there's nothing wrong with just bringing it back to basics. Go, listen, lads, we'd love to win it. We've got enough attacking players on the pitch. But defensively, you've got experienced 2 centre-halves going, yeah, listen, we've got 1 or 2 players who can try and win it. but make sure we don't lose it.
Do you think that's a hangover, though, from those seasons where City were pushing for 100 points, where Liverpool ran them close on 90-odd points in more than one season?
Well, yeah, they were obviously had good rhythm last year, particularly.
But when it felt that a draw was drop points, when you almost had to have a perfect season.
Yeah, no, obviously to win titles, it is about winning football matches, but I'm just on about if there's 5 or 10 minutes to go and you're up against teams like United today, especially their attacking players, Kelly, you smell it, you just feel it in the air going, I know everyone wants to, I was a midfielder and we'd have lads going forward, but I'd still be going, yeah, lads, Giggsy, Beck, you go for it, but don't worry, I'm sitting back here and I'm going to sit in front of my 2 centre-halves and we're still going to make sure we defend crosses or whatever, because unless you do that, unless you do them basics right, you're not going to win football matches. So I just felt today at Liverpool, it was a time for them to go, with 5 or 10 minutes to go, we talk about that throw-in, and even that was a symbol of like, what are you doing? Just throw it down the line and we get up the pitch. Maybe a bit of arrogance and you can be too confident. And United are looking, going, I tell you, what happens when you're thinking that? United will be sniffing it and going, I think there's a chance here that we can win this game. And United haven't won here for 10 years, so you're giving them belief. You have to take that belief away from them. And again, go in that dressing room afterwards and be annoyed with a draw. Go in and go, lads, we need to do better. But it's a draw. It's something. Instead of going and going, hey, we can't be giving up goals like that. We said about their body language when it comes back in from Bruno. Players, 4 or 5 of them are kind of looking to run up the pitch as if they're playing at home to a championship team. Southampton came here 2 or 3 weeks ago and they got a little bit of joy. I know they won the game, but it's still Man United here and they still have very good attacking players. And all of a sudden you go, it's gone out to Bruno and you're running out. But Bruno puts it in, Maguire's on the back post, just like some of the Palace players were on the back post, just like Chelsea were on the back post when they're breaking, going, we'll sniff a chance here.
That's what you just said there. You probably looked at it a few times, the goal and the team defending the corner. But I go back to my worry about Liverpool at the start of the season. It's not so much all the attacking plays, but if the mindset of everyone is always, we're going to be attacking, we've got this attacking play, we're going to be on the ball, people are always thinking about what happens when they're on the ball, and almost the defending bit becomes a bit like, oh, do I have to do that? Do I have to track him back? Do I have to go and win a big header? I want to get on the ball, I want to play, we've got midfield players who all want to get on the ball. So I actually think sometimes Liverpool, now there's almost a mindset of not actually doing the dirty work. And you're talking about today, getting that point, that was definitely more the case in the 2 away games at Chelsea, Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace battered Liverpool. They got a goal late on Liverpool. That's like, get out of there with your point. It's a tough place to go. Could have been 3-0 down at half-time. Great point. So away at Chelsea, got beat there last season. You got back to 1-1. You don't get beat. That's the thing that frustrates me in terms of the experience on the pitch and the players they have on the pitch. You've won, not just last season, but won numerous trophies over these last few years.
Have they lost that pride in defending? We talk about teams that win titles. It's going, the foundations, obviously you need a top goalkeeper, be rock solid at the back. We look what Arsenal do now. But Liverpool looking as if going, do we need to do that bit? Because we've got so many options. We've got brilliant attacking players. They're always a goal threat again. They could have scored 4 or 5 today, but they're getting caught out a little bit, almost become a bit more humble. And don't forget what you got that bit of success. And that was being maybe rock solid at the back. You're going to give it 1 or 2 chances. But I think teams now are playing Liverpool, and now it's 4 games, and going, mate, I think they're thinking we've got a chance.
Humble is exactly the word that
the
Van
problem
Dijk
is, though,
used.
Kelly, when you actually look at the team they end up with 3 defensive-minded players: Carragher, Konate and Virgil van Dijk. Everyone else on that pitch is always thinking a little bit like what Gakpo's thinking when that corner comes in. If we get the ball, we might score. When Roy mentions about, when he was there and he'd be in a defensive midfield player, OK, you go, I'll sit here. That's not in Jones. He's not inclined to do that. Wirtz is not inclined to do that. You end up with everybody else, all the 4 players. Ekitike, obviously, Isak was off the pitch at the time. Frimpong's not that player. Everyone's trying to win the game. There was not one player that's really going, OK, if we lose it in that midfield, what happens next? And that's where they got...
Great example. If you look at Arsenal last night, Arsenal, for all how brilliant they are, and when you get to the top of the league and you're thinking your confidence is sky, you look at Arsenal, when they lose the ball, forget about what they're doing in possession. They've got really good players and they're brilliant at set pieces. It's what they're doing without the ball. They're hunting in packs. And they're like tactics right to win. They're just going to close people down. They're not getting bogged down by anything else. So look at Arsenal's success at the moment. Still a lot to do for them. I know there's a long way to go. The bit of joy is coming from actually hunting the ball down, chasing it, pride, hunger. Have Liverpool lost that a little bit? I think they have.